Let's look at some examples. These come from the even numbers on your practice packet. As we go through, I encourage you to follow along, pause when you want, review and rewind when you want, and then ask questions of your classmate or your teachers as you go. Okay, for the first, I would like you to make sure you try this on your own first, and then unpause when you're ready to check your work for number 34. First thing to notice, I've actually got n's in two different places. Now, when you're deciding where to take your n's, you have choices. You could do a minus 5n on both sides. That will work. You could do a minus 3n on both sides to move the n's over to the right. That would work, and either is okay. I'm going to choose minus 3n's this time. It's okay if you didn't, but the reason I'm choosing it is only because when I do 5n's minus 3n's, that leaves me with 2n's, and 2 is a positive number, and sometimes positive numbers are easier to work with. Let's see now what happens. So on this side, negative 6 stays. 3n minus 3n goes to 0. That's why we did that subtraction. On the other side, this front 2 stays, and on the back, 5n's minus 3n's leaves us with 2n's. Now, I want to get this n by itself, so this 2 needs to go and this 2 needs to go. Start with the number that's further away. That's going to be this front 2. That will be a subtraction. Negative 6 minus 2, that's negative 8. 2 minus 2 goes to 0. That's why we did it. No more 2 in front, leaving us with just the 2 n's. And then to finish, divide by 2, divide by 2. We should end up with negative 8 divided by 2, that's negative 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1n, which is just n. And I hope that makes sense, because 1 times n, multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything, so we just write n instead. Now what we should do, we should check our answer. So I'm going to pull up my calculator and show you how I check them. I'm going to first take the left-hand side and type it just like it looks, so negative 6 plus 3. But instead of the letter n, I'm going to put in parentheses the number I think n is. I think it's negative 4. On this side, I end up with then a simplified result of negative 18. I want to see if I get the same number if we now do the other side. So 2 plus 5 times n, which I think is negative 4. If it's negative 18, we did things right. If it's any other number, that means there's a mistake. Sure enough, we end up with negative 18. So we got the same number both sides. The equation is solved. Let's go again. I do encourage you, take a moment, pause the video, try it yourself. Here, again, we have the same choice. I've got v's in 2 spots. I want there to be v's in just 1 spot. So we need to get them together. Same choice as last time. I could do a minus 4v on both sides of the equal sign. I could do a minus 7v on both sides of the equal sign. It doesn't matter. If you do the minus 4v, that would keep things positive over here, which is good. But there's nothing wrong if you want to do minus 7v. I think I'll do that this time just for some variety. So minus 7v minus 7v. By the way, I have some students who just want to take the variable to the left every single time. That's okay. If that consistency is helpful to you, please do so. 4v minus 7v. So it's going to stay v's, and now do a 4 minus 7 to end up with negative 3 v's. The plus 7 on the end stays a plus 7 on the end. Over here we have a negative 2. 7v minus 7v went to 0. That's why we did that. No more v's on the right-hand side. Once again, my goal, I want to get v by itself. That means the negative 3 needs to go and the 7 needs to go. The 7 is further away. Let's start with that. So minus 7 minus 7. Negative 3v. 7 minus 7 is 0, so that went away. Negative 2 minus 7 is negative 9. And then lastly, it's negative 3 times this v. So we'll do a division by that negative 3 to undo that multiplication. Those reduce down just to 1v, and negative divided by negative is positive. 9 divided by 3 should be 3. Let's do a check. Pulling up the calculator again. What I want to do is to take each side of the equation as it looks at the start and put my number for v in, make sure I get the same number both sides. So 4 times v, I think v is the number 3, plus 7. Okay, so I ended up with a 19 on this side of the equal sign. Let's see if we get the same thing over here. Negative 2 plus 7 times v. Whoops, I'll just use the parentheses for multiply. Oops, sorry, my calculator the buttons are sticking. Let's try that one more time. So the way it looks, negative 2 plus 7v, where instead of v, I put the number that I think v is in parentheses. What I hope is that it ends up being 19 again, which it is. If they match, we've done good. If they don't match, we made a mistake. We should go back and find it. Okay, one more time. We've been through this a few times now. I really do want you to do a pause here. Try this one on your own, and then unpause when you're ready to check things. Okay, m's in 2 spots. We want there to be m's in just 1 spot. I'm this time going to choose to add 7 m's to both sides of the equal sign. What that will do is make it so that on the right, negative 7m's plus 7m's, 0 m's. No more m's on that side. Only the negative 16 remains. On the left, it's going to stay m's, negative 5 plus 7. It's going to be 2, positive 2 m's. So leave the m in there and then just add the numbers like you would normally add the numbers, with a minus 8 on the back. I want to get the m by itself. That means the 2 has to go and the negative 8 has to go. Start with the one that's further away. Well, the 2 and the m are right together, so the negative 8's a little further away. Add that 8. Add that 8. Minus 8 plus 8 goes to 0, leaving us with just the 2 m's. Negative 16 plus 8 is going to be negative 8. And then lastly, it's m times 2, so we'll do a divide by 2 to reverse that effect. Negative 8 divided by 2 is going to be negative 4. I'm going to rewrite it to make the negative a little easier to see. And then the hope is that when we check, I'll get the same number on the left and right of the original equation when we put those into the calculator. So one more time, final check. Where you see the letter m, you're going to put parentheses, and in those parentheses, put the number we think m is. All right, so on the left, I'm going to end up with, it should be 12, okay? And on the right, let's do the same thing. Type it like it looks, going back to the original equation. And then in parentheses, for the m, the number I think m is. And we're hoping for a 12, which it is. That means that we have done things right. So just to recap to finish up, when you've got variables in 2 places, first thing to do is to get the variable in 1 place. Then solve the equation like normal and check your answer. When you're all through,